You came like crashing thunder breaking through these walls.
Hello, welcome back. Like I am. Let's have a cup of coffee and talk about law school. And as you can see, I have the sun in my face because every time I come back home, I enjoy the sun like never before in my life. I was prepared for the second year because I had 1 year under my belt. And on top of the regular classes, I did mock trial, which is a great experience. I recommend it to everyone who's thinking about going to law school, and if you're there already, take advantage of that opportunity, even if you don't want to litigate in the future, because it's a great opportunity to see exactly how a case comes out in court, which is not the same thing as you would think so. When you see it in paper, when you read the opinions, it's not the same thing. It's quite different to prepare a case from the very beginning and pick and choose which pieces of evidence you want to argue about. My first summer, however, was great. I was at the Department of Justice in Oregon, the Oregon DOJ. It was a great experience. I was in the environmental litigation unit, the special litigation unit. So it was great. I had the best supervisor you can ever ask for. She was great. She's an excellent attorney. She's very committed. I have only good words to say. I actually learned more during the summer than the whole year, as crazy as that sounds. But if I've been asked by first year students what should they do in their first summer, and I'm gonna say that I'm a full advocate to go get an internship, an externship, a volunteer, whatever you can do related to legal work. It's gonna open your world in many different perspectives, because law is not what law school is about. So I was in my second semester of second year, yes. So the year started with those little issues on the side, but I started as a TA, a teacher assistant, for civil procedure, my friends. I cannot even believe I'm saying this, but yes, I'm gonna teach you. I'm not gonna teach you anything. I'm just gonna go over what the professor teaches you in class. We're just gonna go over it, talk about it, and blah blah blah. But I feel I don't know, it feels good to be a TA because, you know, I'm here, just me, being me, and I got a TA job. That's pretty cool, isn't it? It makes you feel better. One of the things that I still find it hard while in law school is networking. First of all, a lot of people don't like networking. I'm like by nature not a social person in terms that I don't like big groups. I rarely go out to party. I rather have a cup of coffee and a good conversation. So that is hard to manage in your schedule, because once you take 5 minutes of break, the last thing you want to do is talk about law. But you have to be smart about it. You have to really manage your schedule in a way that you go to as many networking events as you can. A lot of those events cost. The entry cost, the dinner cost, but just look for funding either in your school with student groups or with other attorneys, with law firms. They sometimes sponsor students. So that's how I actually got to go to all these events since I was a first year student. Because, for example, in my school, the Latino Law Society, which I was part of the board during my first year, they are the ones who contact the law firms and judges and other people who are willing to sponsor a student or a bunch of students to go to these events. So you go there, and in some events you'll have an ambassador, which is just a judge or an attorney that is volunteering his or her time to be with you, talk to you, and introduce you to other people in the room. That is the most amazing thing you can have in those events, because you're not just there being a student standing alone. You can do that. You can just go on your own and just mingle. So if you're good at it, then kudos to you, because I am not. I need someone to introduce me around. So that is pretty cool, because you can get to meet a lot of people. So get to the funding. If you don't need to be fund for those events, then even better. But if you don't get the funding, if you don't have the money, then I don't know, scratch the wall or do something, but try to go to networking events because they are great. If you don't meet anyone, if you're not introduced to anyone, it doesn't matter. People will look at you, will see you, and if they know you already just by sight. That's pretty cool because I know a lot of people, they don't know me, but I've seen them in every single event, so I kind of know them, and then you start hearing their names, and they hear yours, so it's a good experience. Do that a lot, as much as you can. Breaks, take a class, take whatever you want to take outside law school, or do whatever you want to do, but do take breaks. Personally, breaks don't work because I'm so stressed about everything I have to do that if I leave my desk for 5 minutes, I'm not even gonna enjoy it. But that wore me out like you have no idea. Not only during my first year, but trickling down my second year as well. So now every time I feel like freaking out, I take a break. It doesn't matter how much work I have because the work is never gonna end. You can die in your desk and the work will be waiting there for you. So you need to stop voluntarily. So do take breaks before you end up in the mental institution finger painting or painting fingers or whatever painting it is. What? But it is different because even though you know what to expect, the kind of pressure and the amount of workload is very, very different. Because you know you're in your second year, you're approaching your next summer, which is your last summer as a law student, and kind of your only chance, your last chance to see what else is out there. I also was faced with personal battles, if you can name it that way, in terms of the cultural differences, the cultural shock that I was not expecting. It's only one number one spot. If you don't get it, it's okay. I think that's one of the hardest things, that once you get to law school, you think you can make it, at least there. You've come so far, but it's okay, you'll survive, it doesn't matter. There are a lot of things that employers take into account other than just your grades. Or so I've been told. Because right now I'm just repeating what I've been told by other people, because until this moment I'm freaking out about my future. Because I'm still a student, people. But let's have a cup of coffee later to talk about that. The difference between the first year and the second year, either because you're now studying and working at the same time, or just studying full-time as I am. So the experience can be quite different. The classes do change. Professors do know that you're not an innocent 1L anymore. So you'll get questions worded differently than you did in first year. The dynamics changes in the classroom because there's more discussion about the cases more than just the Socratic method. If I would have dropped out after my first year, like a lot of people do, I know a lot of people who just went 1 year, say law is not for me, I would have regretted the rest of my life. I was ready to do so. I was getting into so much debt. I knew I didn't feel quite like fitting in the law school environment or the legal profession at all. It was not my place. I felt awkward. I was not failing because I hadn't taken any exam, but the grades weren't what I was expecting or what I wanted. I was second guessing myself. I didn't know if I actually liked environmental law, which is the #1 reason I went to law school in the United States for. So I had a lot of things in my head, and I was ready to quit. My thinking was, I'm not good at this. I'm not fitting in. I'm not getting the grades needed to join a big law firm. So why get into so much debt with every single government, the federal, the state, the local. My God, you have no idea the amount of money I owe. So it was a lot of stress for me, knowing, yes, I guess the encouragement of my family is one of the things that kept me going and say, okay, I'm already in debt, why not get a little bit more?
You're so amazing.
They are available. I know people who have gotten grants and scholarships, and it is a big help, but you have to be aware of the due dates as well as for that and for externships and internships, because they're usually due at the beginning of the year. And federal or state agencies do application period a year in advance, so just be aware of that. And your school, usually each school also has a lot of opportunities through the student organizations, so also check on that. And finally, for those who were wondering about the frog, I did find a frog. A frog indeed. Waste of time. I'm gonna keep my focus on my studies, and the frog can remain a frog. So no prince yet, so cross your fingers like I do. But until now, I'll keep myself busy with law school and being a panic law student, and happy because I only have a little bit of the end of my, or the last of my second year, then my summer, which I'll spend there in Portland working for a nonprofit, and then I'll go for a federal externship with a judge who's an amazing person, and then I'll be in my final year of law school, and I'll tell you all about it, or you can ask questions and I will write you back whenever I have head to think about something else but law, and then that will be it. My vacations are over. I'm gonna go back to craziness. Okay, I'll see you whenever I come back to life, because now I'm going back to law school. So, goodbye.
Hush now, don't you be afraid, I promise.